When did racism against white people become okay? Joe Biden put white people last in line for COVID relief funds. Kamala Harris said disaster aid should go to non-white citizens first. Liberal politicians block access to medicine based on skin color. Progressive corporations, airlines, universities all openly discriminate against white Americans. Racism is always wrong. The left's anti-white bigotry must stop. We are all entitled to equal treatment under law. America First Legal paid for this ad.
America First Legal airing that insane ad in parts of Georgia and Florida. Stephen Miller, one of Trump's advisors and a well-known white supremacist.
Bullshit.
Well-known white supremacist is behind this particular ad, which if you know anything about Stephen Miller, it's the most unsurprising thing in the world. But of course, it is full of lies.
Bullshit.
We like to provide the receipts, so we'll go ahead and decode everything that's in there.
Bullshit.
Before we do, though, I want to give you an opportunity to just knee-jerk reaction to that ad, Cenk.
Yeah, just three quick things. One is none of it is true.
Bullshit.
If you hear this ad, you understand that you're listening to a goddamn liar. So, hey, I guess the Republicans have decided to lie to you on purpose.
The pot calling the kettle black.
I've never seen an ad that stokes racial fear and racial hatred as much as that ad does, all with lies.
Hey man, you're black. You are too. What the?
That ad was all white, 100% white.
Yeah.
Obviously because of the topic, right? But the second thing that it's showing you is, white people, the Republican Party is for you and you only.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
You know, overall, will people realize, hey, if I see this ad, I understand that the Republicans are the racist, lying party?
We don't need white people leading the Democratic Party right now. The Democratic Party is diverse and it should be reflected as so in our leadership.
Tons and tons of people will believe this ad.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember anytime we covered a story involving police brutality or a story involving, let's say, a black family getting their home appraised. Anytime we would cover those stories, right wing would get vicious about it and they would accuse us of race baiting when we're just reporting the news. Like, this is what is happening in the country. This is what you should know about.
A manhunt is currently underway to find a killer who attacked a family, driving up next to their car, shooting multiple members of the family and murdering 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes. The gunman has been described as a bearded white man in his 40s who was wearing a red hooded sweatshirt and driving a red pickup truck at the time of the incident.
They would accuse us of race baiting when we're just reporting the news.
Important to note that while he is a white man, the family is black.
They would accuse us of race baiting.
Look, we don't know what's in the guy's head. He was wearing a red sweatshirt, not a red hat, okay? But he fires into this random cars with kids in it, and he kills them. This is what happens when everybody has a gun. You know what we're all thinking. Why did he do it? Only one possible reason pops up. But right now, the only thing that separates him and her is the race.
Accuse us of race baiting when we're just reporting the news. Like,
look, the right wing invented identity politics.
This morning, the arrest of two men, 20-year-old Eric Black Jr. and 24-year-old Larry Woodruff in the murder of 7-year-old Jasmine Barnes.
The gunman has been described as a bearded white man in his 40s.
He was wearing a red sweatshirt, not a red hat.
Investigators arrested and charged 2 black men in connection with Jasmine's killing.
And so this is terrorism, and we don't know why he did it. But right now, the only thing that separates him and her is the race.
They would accuse us of race baiting when we're just reporting the news. Like, this is what is happening in the country. This is what you should know about.
The gunman has been described as a bearded white man in his 40s.
They don't believe that the driver, described as a white man in his 40s, or the truck were involved in the shooting, despite previous reports suggesting that racism had played a role in Jasmine's death.
John King has joined forces with attorney Lee Merritt to raise a $100,000 reward for anyone with information that could lead to the identity of this murderer. If anyone recognizes this man or can share information about this red pickup truck, please do not remain silent.
As a white man with blue eyes, the resemblance was uncanny. Friday, in a now-deleted Twitter post, activist Sean King, with 1 million followers, spread it even farther.
So some are saying, well, you guys reported that it was a white guy. Yeah, that's because 4 witnesses in the family reported that it was a white guy.
Just reporting the news.
And we had questions as to why he might have done that, and we speculated on that a little bit at the time, but mainly said on the video, hey guys, we don't know why this happened. And so this is terrorism. Mainly said on the video, hey guys, we don't know why this happened. He was wearing a red sweatshirt, not a red hat.
Despite the arrests of 2 men identified as suspects.
It's not wrong to have an agenda. It's wrong to skew the facts to fit your agenda. And Sean did not do that.
Friday, in a now-deleted Twitter post, activist Sean King, with 1 million followers, spread it even farther, writing, quote, "We've had 20 people call or email us and say he is a racist, violent, expletive, and always has been."
I think the entire country, let alone the left wing, the right wing, etc., should be thanking Sean King for solving the case. Certainly the family is.
You're listening to a goddamn liar.
Sean King did not respond to repeated requests for comment.
No, but they project every time they speak because race baiting is what they do.
That is a lie.
This is race baiting, and it's based on complete lies. So let's go through each lie one by one. So the first part of the ad says Biden's restaurant relief program excludes white male owners.
Regret to inform you that as quickly as the federal government granted that money, it took it away. The funds gave priority to restaurants owned by women, minorities, and veterans. A few establishments run by white men claimed discrimination. They sued and won. A few establishments run by white men claimed discrimination. They sued and won.
I think the biggest thing is this RRF fund and the way
Restaurant revitalization fund.
The way the government kind of hand-selected businesses to get funding and then didn't for the rest. I mean, there was $28 billion in that fund and there was $80 billion that was requested. So, you know, a lot of us just kind of got left out in the cold.
And then they have this poor guy, poor Schlepp, you know, he's being denied, obviously. He's not getting any of that relief program money, right? Except, as we know, based on where all the small business money went to during COVID, a lot of wealthy white business owners got that money, but it doesn't matter, right? Like, this is a lie. So let's tell you what actually happened.
We are also creating a specific package of relief that is about $15 billion. This did not exist in previous bills, in the relief bills. $15 billion going to grant programs, not loans, grants, targeted at our smallest businesses, of which the majority of black businesses are, and targeted at our black and brown and minority-owned businesses.
On October 8th of 2021, Joe Biden did discuss potentially prioritizing COVID aid to small businesses owned by people of color and women.
And then when you go to the small business programs, PPP, et cetera, we've looked at those rules 1,000 times. Can white people apply? Of course!
Joe Biden put white people last in line for COVID relief funds.
Can males apply? Of course! Did whites and males apply? Did they get PPP? Yes, 100%.
So the government picked the winners and the losers, and apparently you weren't on the good list.
No, not at all. We filled out all the appropriate paperwork. We had everything done. We were at the top of the line. And then we got a number and told what we were going to get, and the wool just kind of got pulled out from underneath us, and now we're stuck with absolutely nothing. And then some of our competitors got millions of dollars.
So he didn't actually prioritize them in any way, shape, or form. I'm positive the PPP forms and every other aspect didn't even mention race. It wasn't like you could check, oh, I'm white male. Okay, you go to the bottom of the list. It has nothing to do with it. This whole thing is invented, including Biden's rhetoric about how he's going to help blacks and women first. They never did that.
They never did that. Okay, here's the second lie. They allege that Kamala Harris wanted disaster aid to go to non-white citizens first following Hurricane Ian.
Even a hurricane's embarrassed by Vice President Harris. Once again, she fell on her face because she made it about race. So Cam, who should be first in line for disaster aid?
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions.
We have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place.
Sorry to all the Florida white guys. Good luck with your flooded living room. I'm surprised she didn't add, good thing white people are better at swimming.
Kamala Harris wanted disaster aid to go to non-white citizens first following Hurricane Ian. Not true at all. At all. Not true at all.
Is the vice president saying that white Floridians should get their hurricane relief last?
Yes.
So what she's saying is, hey, let's not leave behind poor people, generally speaking, and unfortunately disproportionately minorities in this country, when things like this hit.
And it is incredibly racist. Can you imagine someone saying the exact opposite, that only whites and men should get hurricane resources first? I mean, that's crazy town. And the fact that the vice president of the United States is making those kinds of comments shows a lack of leadership.
So she's not saying, you know what, finally poor people are ahead of white people. Wouldn't that be amazing in America?
But in response to a question about a hurricane that just hit Florida, I can't imagine talking about a need to fight for equity and that not everyone starts out at the same place is a good idea when so many are still suffering and displaced.
She was just talking about the climate emergency generally, which does disproportionately impact the lives of low-income communities. We know that.
That point wasn't clear, and part of the question was specifically about Florida. And when she had an opportunity to clear it up, she didn't.
And she's saying, don't leave those people behind. Let's go for equity and equality. They're like, how dare you say equality? That means you hate white people. White people should get something first. Now, they didn't say it like that in the ad. Instead, they lied in the ad.
Kamala Harris said disaster aid should go to non-white citizens first.
The ad also has this portion that reads, whites may not be eligible for antibodies and antivirals while non-whites are. And they cite the Wall Street Journal on January 7th of 2022. Let's all recall when Ron DeSantis ensured that the rollout of the vaccines in his state went to his wealthy donors first before anyone else.
That is a lie.
When Ron DeSantis ensured that the rollout of the vaccines in his state went to his wealthy donors first.
So much nonsense that gets put out there. There's a lot of misinformation put out, unfortunately, by a lot of corporate press.
Florida's governor is pushing back against a 60 Minutes report that accuses him of corruption in the state's vaccine rollout. The report suggests he made a deal to distribute vaccines at Publix pharmacies after the company donated to his political action committee, and suggested Florida's vaccine distribution had generally favored the wealthy. But the governor refutes the report, claiming CBS wanted to stick to a specific narrative, saying 60 Minutes declined to interview key people.
Stephen Miller took that and twisted it in a way that would stoke more hatred, more tensions, more of this divisive racial stuff in the country on purpose, because that's what they do. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. That's it.
The gunman has been described as a bearded white man in his 40s.
Investigators arrested and charged 2 black men in connection with Jasmine's killing.
Concerned, they're like, how dare you? Rich white people should be first.
I can't believe you're doing identity politics. I don't accept that. It's just not true.